Welcome back to a new predictions tracker video. This week I've tracked all the predictions made by the UFC YouTube experts for the upcoming UFC Fight Night Perez vs Taira this weekend. This fight night had 13 fights originally, but one fight got cancelled. I think most of you watching already know which fight got cancelled and why, but we will get into the details later. For now, let's go to the first fight of the night and the predictions. The first fight of the night is Melquizael Costa vs Shayilan Nuerdanbieke. Costa is the favorite for this fight with minus 195 average odds and the favorite in picks. 21 out of 29 channels thinks he will win. Nuerdanbieke is the underdog with odds of plus 160 and the underdog in picks as well, with 8 out of 29 channels predicting him to win this fight. Second fight of the night is a women's fight. Josefine Knutsson versus Judice Polastri. Josefine Knutsson is the favorite with average odds of minus 185, but she's a huge favorite in picks. 25 out of 28 channels pick her to win this fight, or almost 90%, so a big favorite there. Her opponent has plus 154 average odds and only 3 out of 28 channels pick her to win this fight. Next up is Jeka Saragih versus Westin Wilson. Jeka is a huge favorite here in odds and in picks. His average odds are minus 359 and 27 out of 29 channels pick him to win this fight, or 93.1%, which makes him the second most favorite fighter in percentage for picks for this fight night. For his opponent, Westin Wilson, 2 channels, Quinlan and Mayo Media Network, still give him a chance to win, but with average odds of plus 277 and only 2 out of 29 picks for him, he's a big underdog in this fight. The fourth fight of the night is Carli Judice versus Gabriella Fernandes. Carli is the underdog with average odds of plus 132 and only getting 6 out of 29 picks, or 20.7%. Her opponent, Gabriella Fernandes, is the favorite in odds with average odds of minus 160, but in picks she's a pretty big favorite overall. 23 out of 29 channels predict her to win this fight. The fifth fight of the night is Quinlan versus Fugitt. This is a very close fight in terms of odds and in picks. Josh is the slight favorite in odds and in picks. His average odds are minus 124 and 15 out of 29 channels predict Josh to win this fight. Adam is the slight underdog in odds with plus 102 average odds, and 14 out of 29 think he will get to win this fight. So yeah, a very close fight, almost a coin flip in terms of picks. Next is Jimmy Flick versus Nate Maness. Jimmy Flick is the big underdog here, with only getting 2 out of 30 picks, or only 1 out of 29 if you ignore ChatGPT. In average odds, it's also not looking good for him. His odds are plus 402, making him the second biggest underdog in average odds for this fight night. Nate is then of course a huge favorite in this matchup. He is the second biggest favorite in average odds for this card with minus 564. Almost every channel predict him to win this fight. He has the highest pick percentage of this card with 93.4%, choosing him to win this fight. And if you ignore ChatGPT, it is actually 96.7%. So yeah, a huge favorite overall. Should be a very tough fight for Jimmy Flick, according to the predictions and odds. Then we have Tagir Ulanbekov versus Josefine. Tagir is the big favorite in this matchup with average odds of minus 233, and most of the channels predict him to win this fight as well. 25 out of 30 channels thinks he will win. Only 5 out of 30 tracked channels predict that Joshua is going to win this fight. And the average odds are also not in his favor, with average odds of plus 179. Brady Hiestand versus Garrett Armfield is the next one. Brady is the underdog here, with average odds of plus 158. But in picks, he's a bigger underdog, with only 5 out of 29 channels predicting him to win this fight, or 17.2%. Garrett, with average odds of minus 191, is the favorite, and in total 24 channels out of the 29 predict that he will win this fight, or 82.8%. The next fight is Almabaev versus Jose Johnson. And Asu is the biggest favorite of the night with average odds of minus 616. And in terms of picks, he's also a very big favorite. 90% thinks he will get it done, or 27 out of 30 channels predict him to win this fight. Johnson is the biggest underdog in average odds for this card. His odds are plus 435 and only 3 out of 30 channels pick him to win this fight. So in odds and in picks, not many think that he has a chance to win this fight. Next up is Douglas Silva de Andrade versus Miles Johns. And this is the first fight on this channel where the picks are exactly 50-50. Both fighters got 15 out of 30 picks. So according to the UFC YouTube channels, this fight is a coin flip. In terms of average odds though, Douglas is the slight underdog with plus 115 odds, and Johns is the favorite with average odds of minus 139. Alright, next one is Timmy Cuambe versus Lucas Almeida. Timmy is the favorite in average odds and in picks. 22 out of 30 channels predict him to win this fight with average odds of minus 197. Lucas, the underdog, gets 8 out of 30 picks and has average odds of plus 164. And this is the cancelled fight that I was talking about in the beginning. Ikram Aliskerov is now fighting against Robert Whittaker next week and will be replacing Khamzat Chimaev, who got sick and is out of the fight. It's kind of a weird coincidence because Ikram only has lost one fight in his whole career. And can you guess against who? That's right, his only loss was against Khamzat, and now he is replacing him for his fight against Robert Whittaker. So yeah, I think that's quite an interesting replacement with that history. Versus Whittaker, Ikram is the underdog in odds with plus 155 at the moment. But in his original fight on this card versus Antonio Trocoli, he was a gigantic favorite with over minus 1500 odds. And also every UFC channel that I track are picking him to win this fight. But we will not see that fight anymore. I have a feeling that his opponent, Antonio, is kind of relieved that he doesn't have to fight him. And then for the main event of the evening, we have Alex Perez versus Tatsuro Taira. Perez is the underdog with average odds of plus 163 and 10 out of 30 channels predict him to win this fight. The Japanese fighter is the big favorite for this fight, with average odds of minus 196 and 20 out of 30 channels predict that he will win this fight. Alright, that was it for all the predictions for this week. A few channels still need to make their prediction videos, but once they do, I will add their predictions as well. This Sunday, I will upload the results video for this fight night, where we go over which channels did the best and worst with their picks, and which channels would have won or lost the most money if you followed their predictions. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this content and want to see more of it in the future. Thank you all for watching and see you again in the results video this Sunday.